first two rows. Sorry. I know where you are at the back because you want power. Yes. I also want power, but in another way. Okay. So it's all about research-based learning. While Mr. Rectora introduced me, I simply showed some of my CV. For instance, if you look at the most recent publications, they're nearly all at this moment very strange. I don't know what happened. It's all in the field of medical education. I'm working a lot in medical education, but there's also about veterinary education, economics education, engineering, mathematics, and now and then something about educational sciences too. Okay. The focus of today is on this concept of research-based learning. Is this new? No, it's not new. In fact, master level teaching and learning used to be completely research-based in the past. It's only because universities became bigger that all of a sudden we started teaching. Mostly master students were master students. They were participants in the work of professors. For instance, my colleagues in China, I work a lot in China, there a professor has as a maximum number of master students 3. And these 3 master students work all the time with that professor. And they work for that professor. It means they're involved in the research, they're involved in meetings, in planning conferences, and writing books and writing articles. We lost this approach. And we replaced, in fact, master teaching and learning by the undergraduate approach, or even the high school approach of teaching and learning. And that's a pity, because there we lost, in fact, the heart of what master level is. That's doing something with knowledge and skills, and not all the time, in fact, learning about new knowledge. Now, I have a task for you. Somebody had asked, do we have to take notes? Well, there will be an exam afterwards, but that's online. Okay, a test. Okay. Now, you don't have to take notes, but it depends on your own way of working. Some will write, some will do it in their head. Now, the first task now is, if you do, sorry, the marker is a bit old, you're a professor, okay? If you do research, you carry out research, okay? You take steps, okay? You follow a research cycle, okay? Thank you. You follow a research cycle. What I want you to do now is please write down for your domain, because it can be different in engineering, it can be different in biology, it can be different in hydraulics. Okay, I don't care. Can you write down typical steps you follow when you carry out research? Now, and I'm walking around. Okay. So, can you write down typical steps in a research cycle? If you have a computer, you can list it. You don't have to make immediately a drawing. But typical steps. Do you need paper or? Okay. I cleaned my bag, but I think it's oh, Cecilia will bring. Yeah, this is a library. Normally it's full of paper. Okay. Okay. So. Okay. So please look a little bit at the full cycle, not only the start, not only the end. Don't look at the step you favor most, and that's to watch the publication at the end. No, not only that step. Hello. Okay.
pencils if anybody needs something to pencil to write. No? Everybody has?
There was a microphone. No. Okay, let's see. So I will walk around and simply pick up some steps. Okay. Here, for instance, I see as steps objectives, search information, read paper publications. Here I see define a problem, identify the problem, determine objectives, look for information, determine equipment, and this is making of something. Here I have identify a field of interest, make a literature review, identify gaps in the literature, propose research questions, make hypotheses. Now you're in the second row, I'm not allowed to look at you. Okay. See. You have analysis, objectives, look for information, analysis. Still logging in. Already have it? Okay, also needs analysis, needs investigation. Okay, so we'll see that lots of concepts reappear. Now, please, now I'm not allowed to watch. Please raise your hands if you, at least once a month, mention to the students this research cycle. Raise your hand if at least once a month you mention this research cycle to your students. Now, raising your hand is you use one of your arms and you go a little bit above your head. Sometimes you need instructions. Okay, I don't see hands. Okay, now, I will show you. Okay. If I go to the internet and I type in research cycle, okay, and I simply look at available pictures, then you will see that you have about 13,000 different cycles. In a way, they are not different. In a way, they originate maybe from another organization, from another research field, so they might be a little bit different. The big question of today is, if I'm working with master level students, to what extent do I guarantee that these master students, after 1 year or after 2 years, are capable of carrying out all these activities in a cycle, independently, in group, in teams? Are we sure? Are we sure? You have to know that at this stage in Europe, for instance, with the new accreditation system, in fact, the accreditation committees, okay, the quality control committees coming, they only look at the back, at the end of your process. They say, oh, beautiful building, okay, nice professors, thank you, well dressed, okay, good. Very nice courses, but show us the results. And for instance, I'm a member of a lot of these quality control committees. I always get a pile of theses of students, and that's our key task. Check the quality of the thesis, of the practical work of the students at the end of their master's cycle. If this is not okay, then the program really has a problem. Because all the rest, that's nice. A nice building, a nice course, okay? Nice activities, but the result that counts. The tail waggles the dog. You know, a dog, a tail. You all think it's the dog wagging the tail. No, it's the other way around. It's the evaluation of your program that nowadays will determine the quality of your program. And that's why you have worldwide this big move to research-based, in fact, learning. And this is very easy to understand what it is. It is guaranteeing that while you work with your students, did you hear work with your students? not teach. While you work with your students, that you guarantee that they are introduced to this cycle, that they really understand the steps, that they have in-depth skills in it, and of course linked, and then I need another color, and of course linked to your knowledge domain. PD, KD, knowledge domain. You need knowledge. If you're in engineering, hydraulics, you need knowledge about hydraulics. But these are already master's students. They already got undergraduate education. Don't forget that. You have to build on that knowledge. You have to build on their mathematical knowledge, on their statistics knowledge. If you're in biology, in their genetics knowledge. Okay? In the biochemistry knowledge. So you can, yes, you can introduce in a master course, as you will see, you can introduce new knowledge, but mostly the maximum of new knowledge in a course is 30% of the time. If you have a 150-hour course, that's 5 credits. On average, you have 50 hours that the students have to work on new knowledge. The rest of the time, it's doing something with the knowledge. It's literature, writing, reading, processing, building reviews, building conceptions, building research setups, developing instruments, administering, working with data, and so on. Now, this research cycle, who owns this research cycle? It's the students. But the topic of the research, I'm not naive. The topic of the research, you are in control. Now, for instance, I'm doing research about safety of children on the internet. Okay? We all know all these children nowadays are often threatened on the internet. They have nice boys at the other side, but if you see these boys in reality, they look like this. Okay? Safety on the internet. This is my research topic, but I involve my students in that research. But you will see later how we work on that. Let's do it now in a little bit systematic way. Okay. Immediately you see it. You see here, these are Vietnamese students, also by the way in the FRIER projects, and they are working. Here they are working in a library. Okay. What are they doing? Well, they got an introduction to a new domain. This was one in accounting. They all want to become accounting. It's very popular in Vietnam. Okay. And what do they do? Well, they work in fact on problems. Someone already said identification of a problem. You have to identify problems. Well, this is very difficult for students. Because, for instance, someone told you have to review the literature. You have to look for the gap in the literature. Well, that's too difficult for instance, at the start. So we give them problems. My research problems. Because I have about 20 PhD students we monitor, okay, in a little team. I'm not doing it alone. And we build on the research problems of these PhD students. And you will see it, that our PhD students, they are queuing to be involved in the teaching, in the work with the students. Because these students become their co-researchers. So it's a kind of research problem-based learning. Now, you see here, for instance, in Maastricht University, that's one of the famous universities that adopts problem-based learning. There they already started with research-based learning, but especially for their best students, like a kind of honors program. Okay? But it's becoming now, in fact, a kind of generic approach because of the new quality control systems we have in Western Europe, but also now moving to Asia. And in these new accreditation and quality control systems, we especially look at the critiques on the existing, in fact, nature of undergraduate and graduate teaching. For instance, here in the USA, and that's an analysis